Today we're going to be tying a pseudo harpoon puncher, a relatively easy fly to tie, good motion, a lot of conventional stuff, but also some new flares as well. Got an SC17 2-aught in the vise here, starting with some U140. Going to go right behind the eye, make a nice thread base. We're going to go all the way down, just past the barb onto the slope of the hook there. So Pseudo hair is an interesting product. It's I believe it's an acrylic product. It's very similar in consistency to craft fur. The good part about it is that there's not as much under fur on it, and it's really the taper I think is a little bit nicer to work with. So essentially I'm going to separate a gather like this off of the hide, if you will, which is nothing more than a fabric backing basically. Relatively easy, like I said, to taper down. It's going to give you just an instant kind of minnow silhouette. So I will trim off just a little bit of the base hair so I don't have as much bulk at the tie-in point. Lash that down. I'm going to post this material as well, meaning that I'm going to do a couple parachute wraps on there and give myself just a nice little, tail that's not going to flip over and foul on me. I've got a piece about 1 inch long of baby blue cross-cut rabbit. I'm going to tie that in, hide side facing towards the hook shank. We don't want a huge amount of this stuff in there because the more you wrap on there, the bigger the and bulkier it's going to be, especially at the tie-in. So I just basically make like a single wrap of this material. Snip off my excess. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set some eyes on here. So I'm going to move my thread forward about halfway up the shank from where I just tied in that rabbit. I'm going to cut off a set of black mono eyes. Got a little bit of excess on here that I'll snip off. This is nothing more than just a figure-8 wrap on the eyes. When you're done with it, you probably want to hit these with Zap-A-Gap. I wouldn't do it before you're finished with the fly, though, because the next step sometimes will get caught up in that CA-type glue and get fouled up on you. So we've got the eyes, we've got the tail, we've got the collar. The next thing we're going to use is Senyo's Laser Dub. A really nice product to work with. Basically, we're going to use this in the same capacity as like a wool sculpin head. So we'll take a small gather. We're just going to kind of take a pinch of it. I like to open it up just a little bit. And I'm going to wrap it around the shank. And I'm going to just make a couple confining wraps on it. And then just pull all that material out of the way. Take my thread up to the front. I mean, that's it for the head. That simple. Just a simple gather and tie it down. Make a couple more whip finishes on there. And there you have a completed poon puncher. Easy to tie, obviously. Great fly. One of my favorites. Hope it's one of yours too.